Namaste, welcome to Prime 9. Eclasia cardia. Nowadays, so many people suffer from eclasia cardia because of many changes happen in our daily life, like lifestyle, taking food, etc. And we are hearing many questions from patient: what kind of food should be taken, how to take care, can they recover without surgery? These are mainly we are hearing. So let's discuss about these. Dr. Daipod Mandar available to us. Let's talk to him. Namaste, Dr. Daipod Mandar. How are you?
Namaste. Hello, everybody. I'm
Doctor,
Dr. Mandar
nowadays,
Doifude, gastroenterologist practicing in Pune and Pimpri Chinchwad.
right. Doctor, nowadays, so many people suffer from achalasia cardia because of so many changes in our daily life, like taking food and each and everything. So that's why so many people suffering from achalasia cardia. So first of all, I want to know what is achalasia cardia? What is the main common symptoms?
So, to begin with, the meaning of the word achalasia is a Latin word. The meaning is failure to relax.
Okay.
So, achalasia cardia is a comparatively rare disorder of esophagus. It is called a motility disorder, where the lower esophageal body or lower esophageal sphincter that doesn't relax for to allow the passage of the food from the esophagus into the stomach. And as a result of that, the patient is not able to swallow properly. There is progressive, it's called dysphagia. So there's progressive worsening of the dysphagia. The esophagus starts undergoing dilatation progressively, and as a result of that, patient will start having different symptoms. The commonest symptom to begin with is dysphagia.
Okay.
Eventually, the patient will start losing weight, and there is what is called as regurgitation, or the backflow of the food and liquid into the throat, and sometimes that can also go into the lungs.
Yes.
And because of that, the patient will have other symptoms like chronic cough, bronchitis, and other things.
And doctor, why does this disease occur?
So, to tell you very frankly, the exact cause of the disease is not known, and why these esophageal muscles fail to relax in
Okay.
few people is unknown. But there is degeneration of what is called as myenteric nerve plexuses. Some researchers they think that there can be some uh, inflammatory or infective pathology. Some people have also shown association with some viral infection, but because of some pathology, there is destruction of the ganglion which supply to the myenteric plexus, and as a result of that, the lower esophageal sphincter muscles they fail to relax, and
Okay.
that leads to this condition called achalasia cardia.
And some questions we are hearing from patient: can they recover without surgery?
So complete recovery is difficult.
Okay.
As I told you, because of the failure to relaxation of the lower esophageal sphincter, there is narrowing in the passage. So many people they adjust their food or they compensate their food by taking smaller boluses, or they chew more, or they drink liquids along with the food, or some people also drink aerated fluids. That helps in passage of the food, and that will give some relief to some patients, but complete recovery without any intervention is not possible.
And again, one thing: does this disease affect people of all ages?
The commonest age group that is affected is between 30 to 60 years of age. But yes, the disease can affect any age group. I have treated patients as young as around 13, 14 years and as old as around 60, 70 years also. So the direct causation is not proven yet, but there are few theories where people have found people suffering. Some doctors have found that people suffering from achalasia
Okay.
have progressed to cancer development, but exact causation and exact correlation is not proven yet. But yes, all the scientists still consider achalasia cardia as a pre-malignant condition.
And what is the POEM?
So POEM or POEM is a new technique.
Okay.
POEM is an acronym. The full form of POEM is per oral endoscopic myotomy.
Okay.
So before telling what is POEM, I have to explain to you how do we treat this disorder.
Okay.
So as I told you, basically in achalasia cardia, the lower esophageal sphincter muscles they show spasm. So there are different techniques by which we can relieve this spasm, and POM is one of them. The other being, firstly, if the patient symptoms are not very severe, many of the patients or many of the doctors they try different medications like calcium channel blockers, which will have some effect in causing some dilatation of those spasmodic muscles, but they are really short-lived, and generally people will require some intervention. The intervention again can be of two types. There can be either endoscopic or surgical.
Okay.
In endoscopy also there are different types. In earlier people used to try what is called as pneumatic balloon dilatation. There is special kind of a balloon which is passed along with the endoscopically across the sphincter, across the uh, sphincter, and the balloon is dilated using air, and with the dilatation of the balloon even the muscles fibers are stretched, and because of this extreme stretch of the muscle fibers they will lose their contractility, and that way the spasm will be relieved. With this patient will get some relief, but the problem with this therapy is it is short lived. Many times in the span of about six months to 1 year of time, the muscles will regain their ability to contract, and the patients will develop recurrence of achalasia cardia. That's why it is reserved only for very old or frail patients who cannot undergo definitive surgery.
Okay.
The other technique which can be done endoscopically is called Botox injection. Botox is a kind of a toxin which is injected into the muscle, and they will cause toxin will cause lysis of the muscle, and with that also the muscles will lose their ability to contract, and that will also relieve the spasm of those muscles. Again, the problem with this is it is short lived. Most of the patients will have recurrence after this. That's why it is also not done very commonly. The next technique is surgical technique, which used to be a gold standard till date, and that is called laparoscopic Heller's cardiomyopathy. Laparoscopic Heller's cardiomyotomy, wherein a laparoscope is passed into the stomach and into the abdomen, and through the abdomen, the surgeon will go in at the gastroesophageal junction, and from there, from outside in, it will go. The doctor will go, and he will do what is called as myotomy, or cutting the circular muscles of the esophagus, which are the culprit. So that way the spasm is relieved. But nowadays, since last 7 to 8 years, new technology has been developed. It's called POEM or POEM, or as I told you, per oral endoscopic myotomy, wherein we do similar myotomy but using completely endoscopic technique. That is a new technology.
Okay. And what are the advantages of poem?
So, as I told you, myotomy is a definitive treatment. Whether you do it laparoscopically or endoscopically, myotomy, you actually cut the muscle. So the chances of recurrence or the patient's developing symptoms again are very minimal. So it is a one-time technique wherein the patient will get complete and permanent relief from his problems of achalasia cardia. So now, if you compare this technique with laparoscopic Heller's myotomy, there are two main differences. In a laparoscopic procedure, the surgeon has to go from outside in, and because while going from outside in, there are chance that while he is cutting the muscles, he may injure the mucosa or the innermost lining of the food pipe, which is the main support of the esophagus or food pipe. And if he does that, and if he doesn't, the surgeon doesn't realize that on table, then that might lead to complete perforation of the esophagus, and that can lead to disastrous consequences. In POEM or per oral endoscopic myotomy, we are going from inside out, and everything is done under vision. When I'm doing endoscopic myotomy, the muscle is in front of me, so I have complete control in my hand, and I can decide how much muscle I can cut and how deep I can go. That's why the chances of perforation are very rare, and that's why this technique is considered a little bit safer than laparoscopic Heller's myotomy. Another advantage of this is when you are doing a laparoscopic. So nowadays we do what is called as a high resolution manometry. And with high resolution manometry, even achalasia is classified into three different types: type 1, type 2, type 3. And if the patient has type 3 achalasia cardia, then you need really long myotomy. So if you are doing laparoscopic procedure, then going into the thorax, deep into the thorax from the abdomen sometimes become difficult, and sometimes the surgeon will end up doing little bit like less adequate job, because he doesn't he cannot know from outside how much muscle is to be cut. So in when I'm doing endoscopic procedure, I will know exactly how much length of the esophageal musculature is at problem, and I can tailor-made the length of myotomy while doing endoscopic procedure. So these are the two main advantages. That's why we prefer endoscopic myotomy over laparoscopic Heller's myotomy.
And again, does this disease hurt when they eat?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Yes. Does this disease hurt when they eat?
So, see, as I told you, there are different types of achalasia.
Hmm.
So, in case of type 3 achalasia cardia,
Hmm.
there is spasm of the esophageal muscles.
Hmm.
And in those patients, generally the presentation of those patients will be of recurrent chest pain rather than dysphagia.
Hmm.
So, in those patients, the patient will definitely have
Hmm.
pain as a prominent symptom. Prominent symptom.
Okay. What are the difference between eclasia cardia and cancer, particular this disease?
See, if the patient has cancer of esophagus, sometimes the patient will present with what we call as pseudo-achalasia cardia.
Hmm.
So the patient will have similar dysphagia,
Hmm.
but the difference in dysphagia caused because of achalasia cardia and achalasia due to cancer or other disease like stricture esophagus is in case of achalasia cardia, the patients will have dysphagia to both solids and liquids. Many times the dysphagia is more prominent for liquids than solids
Hmm.
because the as the problem is with the musculature, the muscles will not be able to push the liquids which will have lesser weight
Hmm.
compared to that solids have little bit of weight, so those solids sometimes can pass a little bit easily across the spasmodic lower esophageal sphincter.
Hmm.
In case of cancer of esophagus, there is narrowing of the lumen completely. There is mechanical narrowing of the lumen.
Hmm.
That's why the patients will present with dysphagia for solids
Hmm.
more than liquids.
Right.
So this is the main difference between dysphagia due to cancer and dysphagia due to achalasia cardia.
Hmm. And how are the long-term results of poem?
So now this technique has been there since more than 10 years,
Hmm.
and the early patients who underwent this procedure, they have shown excellent results. There are many series both across, both abroad and also in India,
Hmm.
and the long-term results are really good. The patients developing recurrence of symptoms is less than 1%.
Hmm.
The main objection to this technique is since we don't do any anti-reflux procedure along with poem, so the chances of the patient developing reflux post procedure is are more.
Hmm.
But in my series and also in world over, the chances of patients developing reflux esophagitis after poem procedure
Hmm.
is really rare. It is less than again 2%.
Hmm.
And even if a patient develops any reflux symptom, they can be easily managed by simple medication.
Hmm.
So actually, the long-term results are really good, and
Right.
that's why it is fast becoming the treatment of choice for achalasia cardia.
Hmm. And if the patient needs surgery, how many days does it to take the recovery of the after operation?
So that is biggest advantage with poem.
Hmm.
Normally in our practice, we sometimes have done it on daycare basis also.
Hmm.
So that means we admit the patient on the day of surgery. Patient undergoes surgery, and after say about 5 to 6 hours after the patient is kept under observation, we can discharge the patient.
Hmm.
Sometimes we keep the patient indoor for about 24 hours, and after 24 hours, patient is started on clear liquids. So patient takes clear liquids for a period of about 3 to 4 days,
Hmm.
and once he tolerates those clear liquids, then slowly we shift him onto semi-solids. And by end of first week or 1 week after the surgery, patient can start having a full diet.
Hmm.
So the recovery period is really very less.
Hmm.
Since there is no cut, there are no stitches, so the patient doesn't have any post-operative pain or any major symptoms.
Hmm. And doctor, they couldn't be mentally strong because they couldn't able to take food. So, how to make them strong mentally?
So that depends again on the psyche of the patient,
Okay.
and if the patients are of a younger age group, then they respond to this treatment very well as
Hmm.
compared to older people, because older people they suffer with this disease for a long period of time,
Hmm.
and because of progressive dysphagia they lose a lot of weight. They slowly start developing some depressive psychology because of not being able to eat for such a long period of time,
Hmm.
and for that we have to give him good uh, this thing before patients are posted for surgery. We give them good psychological counseling,
Hmm.
and once the surgery is done, it is our duty to give that confidence or develop that confidence in the patient that now his problems are cured, and patient he will be able to eat properly.
Hmm.
And once he starts eating and once he understand that I am able to eat properly, then the recovery is really fantastic.
Hmm. And doctor, how do you treat the patient?
So when the patient is referred to me or the patient comes to me with symptoms suggestive of achalasia cardia,
Hmm.
then it is my job to take a thorough history of the patient,
Hmm.
and there is something called as Eckhart score, which will determine the severity of his symptoms of dysphagia.
Hmm.
and as per the ECART score, we can determine the category in which the patient will fall. And after that, we do thorough workup of the patient. In that workup, first thing what we do is called upper GI endoscopy or gastroscopy. So gastroscopy is a very simple technique wherein we use a small tube. There is a camera at the tip of the tube, and the picture is shown on the screen, which is in front of me. The procedure is done under local anesthesia. The patient is given a spray in his throat, which makes his throat become completely numb. After that, the tube is passed into the across his throat into the esophagus. Normally, the patients who are suffering with achalasia cardia, they have a hugely or dilated esophagus, and the esophagus also has a lot of food contents or fluid contents. The food can maybe what he has eaten 2 days or 3 days previously also. Then, while doing endoscopy, we have to suck out all the fluid, and as the scope is going across, then we reach at the lower esophageal sphincter, which is under spasm. So, in a case of achalasia cardia, we can pass the scope into the stomach with a little bit of maneuvering, but it will go with a characteristic give-way sensation. If the patient has other conditions like achalasia, like cancer of esophagus or stricture, then many times the passing of scope into the stomach across this narrowing becomes very difficult, and that's how we can clinch the diagnosis. So if I suspect achalasia cardia on my endoscopic picture, then the next step is to post that patient for another investigation that is called as high resolution manometry. So as I told you, with by doing high resolution manometry, we can confirm our diagnosis of achalasia cardia, and also we can determine what is the type of achalasia cardia in this patient. Once we determine these two things, then the next step is to decide the therapy for this patient. Earlier, we used to do barium swallow test also, but nowadays with the advent of these two techniques, many times we can not do barium swallow also. Then once we have done both these investigation, then the time to determine the therapy of the patient, then we have to do other investigation to know the patient's fitness for surgery. So that's why we do all the basic investigation like hemogram, then his urine routine, his liver function test, renal function test, his blood sugar levels. We also do chest X-ray, because many a times these patients, because of chronic reflux, they have what is called as regurgitation or aspiration pneumonitis, or aspiration of those fluid contents into the lungs, and that can cause some damage to the lungs. If that is the case, then we have to treat that first and then only take that patient for surgery. So to determine that, we have to do chest X-ray of the patient. Then if you are doing POEM procedure, since the surgery will be done in the thorax or in the chest cavity, we also do 2D echo of the patient to determine the heart condition of the patient. And once all these investigations are with me and all the workup is done, then next is to plan the therapy of the patient. That's how we treat the patient.
And finally, can you suggest any specific diet for patients suffering from achalasia cardia?
As I told you, many times the patient, before the patient will reach the doctor, they have been suffering with this disorder for some time. So many times they themselves will know what type of food is good for them and what type of food is okay to be eaten. That's why they compensate their food by eating small quantities, or they chew more, or sometimes they have after every two, three boluses, they will have a sip of water, or sometimes the patient can even start having aerated drinks. So aerated drinks will help in pushing that food across the narrow sphincter. But that is it. Otherwise, there is no specific diet for achalasia, both before and after the procedure.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming to our show, and see you again. Thank you so much.